There we go. Okay. I know I'm famous. Always wanted to sell my autograph, so feel free. Um, so what happened? What happened? A couple of years ago, one of my colleagues came up to me and said he was retiring and he was teaching courses like these for Lone Star. I have a tremendous heart and affection for community college. I attended community college, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So I did that. I grew up in Los Angeles, so all my education is in California. Don't hold that against me.
Well, you got here soon.
I got here as soon as I could, Charles said. And truth is, I'll be honest with you, I'm probably more liberal than most born Texans. And I'm probably more conservative than most Californians. So I'm somewhere in the middle there. So community college is where I started. I transferred to University of California, Davis, near Sacramento, and I ended up doing a double major in applied mathematics and geology. And from there, I had the opportunity to go to Stanford and have a master's degree in geophysics. I worked in oil and gas for 30 years, exploration and production, before becoming a financial planner with Edward Jones. Uh, the other thing that bonds me to community college life is my son. Um, Most of you probably saw the pictures of him getting married recently. He is now a third year PhD student at Yale in psychology. Now, it didn't start that way. And so, in his junior year in high school, we did an intervention. We just pulled him out and sat him home for a year. When school year started up in the fall, we went back and did junior year again, but this time we did it at BAMP school down the street. When he graduated from there, and he did very well, we were not convinced he was ready for college, university life. So we made him go to Lone Star, and he went there kicking and screaming until the first week. And he just fell in love with it. Um, he went from there to, well, let me just tell you this one tidbit. So when he finished at Lone Star with his AA degree, he was the commencement speaker for the student body. That's how well he did. He went to A&M and finished up his undergraduate degree there in psychology and a minor in Spanish, and he had a 4.0. And so he had many opportunities to continue graduate work, and he chose Yale. But he got admitted into all these different schools. And my point is, I just have this tremendous affection for community college because for some of us, we're not ready for that big step. And being able to do community college has really been a benefit. So what brings me here is this colleague who was retiring, was looking for someone to continue teaching these types of courses at Lone Star, and I ran into him before he left the company. And I said I'd do it. And so for the last couple of years, I've been teaching these types of courses. I try to do a different course every semester. Last semester in the spring, I did this particular course, and it was just packed every room, every time I did it. And so I said, with that much energy, perhaps it might be interesting here at Champions. And so I talked to Jeannie in the spring, and with the calendar, we said, let's do it in the fall, and that's why it's fallen here. So I'm very encouraged that so many of you have shown up this morning. This course is a Edward Jones course. I didn't write it, but I will probably infiltrate it with my own thoughts as we go through. It's kind of a big group, kind of hard to hear. Does anybody need a handout? Wes has got some more. Yep. Just keep your hands up. Hey, guys. Let him finish that. I'm overwhelmed. Like I said, I was thinking maybe me and Martha. And I said, no, Wes is coming. That's 3. So we're very encouraged that you're here. All right. So how did I get into financial planning? Back in the aughts, 04, 05, my wife and I found an Edward Jones advisor. He really liked me. And so every time I would meet with him, he would finish the conversation by saying, you should become an Edward Jones financial advisor. And so in 2014, late 2014, I got downsized out of oil and gas. I spent a year and a half trying to elbow my way back in, and I had opportunities, but they were always away from Houston. And so I didn't want to leave Houston. I figured I could be unemployed just as well here as anywhere else. And so I went back to him in 16, and he said, yep, we're hiring. We're always hiring. Put your name in the hat. They hired me. And so I've been doing this since 2016. I'm a workaholic. I'm not the guy that can sit down and relax for too long. And so with this firm, I have the opportunity to work until either my mind or my body can't do it anymore. And so I plan to be doing this for a long time is what I intend to do. And it's given us a lot of opportunity to help people. My mantra, I have three goals when I talk to people. I want to bless their lives emotionally. I want them to feel better after we've talked. I want to bless their lives financially. If I can help input something into their lives to improve that part of their life, that's a plus. And then thirdly, spiritually, I have the opportunity when I'm talking to people to share the fact that I am a Christian, that I preach, that I'm active in the church. And so I have that opportunity. Almost one of those I'm going to get on everybody, no matter what. And sometimes I can do all three. So that's what brought me here. And I thank you again for being here. As it says on the board, our course is Outsmart the Scammers. And the handout that you have will follow along with what we'll see up here. Let's see. Come on. There. So that's me. Okay. Yeah, I always tell people, they look at that picture there, and they start thinking, wow, I didn't know Denzel Washington was a planner. And I have to always correct them, no, that's not Denzel. I am so teasing. Who cares if you look like Denzel? You want his money. Okay, what am I doing wrong here? Let me see here. Page down. There we go. Page down. Okay. So fraud and scams is becoming more and more prevalent as we go along. I'm looking in this crowd, and I think Leander's the youngest. I'm probably the second youngest. Look, but I make that point. I make that point because we grew up in an era when if someone knocked on your door, what did you do? What do you do now? Ignore it. If the phone rang, what were the odds that the person calling you was trying to scam you? Almost zero, if not zero. And that's not true anymore. If you look at this board or look at your handout, there's some data that has become available to us. So 9 million. Anybody got an idea what 9 million is? Not a day. Not a scam. That's a year. In a year. But if you understand how big that number is and getting bigger, okay? Now, what about the 36.5 billion? That's how much, right? And that number is getting bigger. What about the 1 in 6?
People that are affected.
Yeah, people that are affected. Now, here's the thing. This number really represents people over 62, 65. Okay? And let me say something about that number there. I had thought that the majority of people being scammed, were seniors, quote unquote. And by the way, I am technically a senior. Technically. I've qualified for AARP. I qualify for Social Security. And I qualify for Medicare. I am a senior. Okay, I'm 65. Okay. So when I first saw this presentation, and I didn't understand that actually there's like a 30% greater chance that you will be scammed if you're under the age of 50 than if you're over the age of 60. Any reason why? Any thoughts?
I think the older people have a better feeling about the value of a dollar.
Better feeling, older people have a better feeling about the dollar. Any other thoughts?
Too good to be true.
Too good to be true. Any other thoughts? Well, here's the deal, I think. That's part of it. I think the other part is, and we'll see this in the presentation, who is more likely to be distracted? A younger person or an older person? A younger person. What are younger people doing all the time? Internet, on the phone, on the computer, or talking, and it's four things going on. And so it's actually a higher percentage of younger people. Now the scammer is not necessarily interested in the younger person so much. They don't have any money. Thank you, Josie. They don't have any money. Okay, 1 in 24. What do you think that represents? 1 in 24.
The younger people?
Not quite. So these are the numbers being scammed. These are the number of people who report that they've been scammed.
Yeah.
Much lower percentage, right? Embarrassed, right? Shame. And so what we're going to talk about in a minute is why we really need to report what's going on. And the 90%, let me see here. What's the 90%, Thomas? Oh, nearly 90% of abusers are people the victim trusts, according to the National Center on Elder Abuse, right there. Yes?
May I say on that 1 in 24,
Yep.
if it's happened on your credit card, as it has to us many times, or your bank accounts, you will report it, trust me.
Those get reported.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, if it's on, you guys heard that. I won't repeat it.
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
have been victims of credit cards and bank accounts. What
about AI?
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. We're going to come to, the question was, what about AI and how it impacts this? And we'll talk about that.
Any stats on the number of attempts that are successful?
Yeah, that's a good question.
If there's 100 attempts,
Yeah.
is it 80% of
No. I think it's lower than that. But here's the thing. How many times does it have to happen to you? It's like insurance. When do you need insurance? The one time that it happens. Right? The one time, exactly, when you don't have it. So yes, it doesn't happen very often. But the numbers here are still pretty staggering. And we're going to talk about, why that happens.
Who are the 90%?
The 90% of people who are scammed by someone they know and trust.
Sorry, but when our credit cards have been compromised, because I buy online some,
Mm-hmm.
or our bank accounts were compromised, I was not anyone we knew.
Okay. You've heard of Mickey Rooney, all right? He testified to Congress in 2011 about elder abuse after having been financially exploited by family members. Rooney said he was afraid to seek help because he was overwhelmed with fear, anger, disbelief. Rooney's conservator pointed out that Rooney was completely competent and stated that fighting abuse can be complicated due to the individual's personal fears, i.e. loss of control, and/or family relationships. It's a not so subtle reminder that anyone can become the victim of fraud, regardless of age or health. Now that's antidote. That's antidote. We often think it's somebody that we won't know. And all we're trying to do here is raise awareness and sensitivity that it could be someone you know. It could be. Probably not in this crowd, Josie said, why not? The reason why I point out not this crowd, the way we construct our families and organize our lives, maybe not in this crowd. And we'll talk about the victims of fraud in a moment. It's critical to be prepared and to take steps to protect yourself and those you care about. It's important to report fraud because a scammer will defraud another individual if he or she is not stopped. There's a good chance you may be here because you're concerned for a loved one or a friend, or may have been targeted by a scammer. Perhaps you may learn some tips today to protect yourself and your loved ones from becoming victims of fraud. My goal is to empower you with information and resources to protect yourself and the ones you love. Hopefully, after our time together today, you'll be prepared to act quickly and calmly to outsmart a scammer. So let's move on. Did y'all get the handouts? Are there any more handouts? Farte, Leander, get them. And if you need something to write with, I got some. Writing stuff you need. You got it?
Yes.
You need something to write with?
Right.
Question, are these statistics for the US or are they global?
U.S. Yeah, these are U.S. numbers. And I want to say these numbers are 2022, maybe 2021. It's worse. That's why I say it's getting worse. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So here's our outline. What we'll do is look at some common. Oh, that's so small. 5 common fraud schemes. The goal here today is not to make us bulletproof, but hopefully to raise our sensitivity, raise our awareness, have some go-to tools to help us not become victims of fraud. You remember I was reading the scripture last night. I think it's in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, where Paul starts out talking about how the children of Israel all passed under the cloud by Moses, how they were all baptized by Moses under that cloud. And then when you get to like verse 10 or 11, he says, yet to him who thinks he, you know the scripture, stands, take heed lest he fall. And that's what this course is here to do today, is just to help raise our awareness. Red flags, we'll talk about some of the things that will help us be prompted for that. What are some of the resources that we can have at our disposal? What are the steps we can do? And the last thing we'll do is I'll read some descriptions of fraud, and we can tell as we start to read them, hopefully, why they're so obvious. So here's a common one, collection fraud. This is slide number 4 in your handout, slide number 4. So we start with the story provided by our Edward Jones Investigations Department. It's made up of a group of professionals who investigate red flags and try to protect client information. It's a powerful resource, and it's available to all of y'all if you'd like to use it. Just give me a call. So here's the deal. These stories are not unique. They just kind of help us understand how these things work. Terry received a call from the Internal Revenue Service. Now, question. You get a call from the IRS. Now, some of you know that doesn't happen. But who's going to be victimized? The person that knows that doesn't happen? No, the person that doesn't know that's going to happen. All right, so let's keep reading. So, Iris, she owes back taxes and needs to pay the outstanding balance immediately. She didn't recall receiving a notice in the mail and told the caller she believed he was in error. The caller then told Terry if she didn't pay the minimum amount on the outstanding balance, the police would be sent to arrest her. She was shocked. She didn't believe she owed the money. It had to be a mistake, she thought, and she wondered if she should make the payment to buy some time so she could get the matter straightened out. The caller said he would accept payment over the phone via credit card, or she could provide checking account information. So let me say this. Let me say this. Right now, we are the proverbial fly on the wall. We're the spectator watching the game, watching the event. And as we stand back from 1,000 feet and watch, it's easy to see the whole situation. It's when you're in the arena, I always like to say, that's when the fun starts. Okay, so she thought about her next move. The person claimed to be with the IRS, but she recognized as having Terry recognized as having authority in this matter something didn't feel right. She asked for a number to call the man back and then contacted a trusted friend. Fortunately, Terry recognized some red flags and gave no personal information. So let's talk about some of these red flags. What are some red flags in that scenario? Now, you mentioned one of them, someone up here. IRS doesn't call.
Always by mail.
Always by mail. Let that sink into your mind.
Look at caller ID.
Look, oh, we're going to talk about.
Before, you'll have to call me from a phone that says that you're from the whatever.
We're going to talk about caller ID in a moment. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Because this is going to tie into the AI part.
And they don't demand a credit card or
They don't demand credit card.
you need to pay ASAP.
Yeah, Diane said I'm repeating this because we're recording, but they will garnish your wages or whatever money's in your bank account if you don't pay. You don't have to worry about it. They're going to get. Thank you. All right. Okay.
Phone number, you call that number, you're in.
Here's the thing. If it's the IRS, question, what don't they know about you? Do you have to share your social security number with them? Right? They know it. Do you have to share your mailing address with them? Now remember, it's funny now because we're watching it from afar, but when you're in the heat of the moment, and by the way, how do these frauds really work? Well, I'll tell you how they work. The guy that's a scammer, what do you think he or she does all day, every day? Are you practicing not being scammed all day, every day? No, they've got the upper hand. Just by the way that you answer the phone, you're telling them what they should say next and how they should say it.
You mean,
Yeah, they're that clever.
you mean by our tone?
Yes, they are that clever. How you answer the call, how you say your name, everything that you're doing on the phone is a tell to them of how they should go with the next question next.
Have they been trained to do this?
And again, let me say it again. They've been doing this all day, every day.
Most of their
So
life.
are we supposed to sound kind of firm and sort of?
Nope.
No.
Nope. Nope. And in this example, the collection fraud, what are we supposed to do? That's so fun. Can I share a story with you about having some fun? I was doing this class in the spring, and this lady was married for a long time, and her husband was slipping into dementia, but he was OCD. And so when the guy asked for some information, it was in the closet, in the back of the closet, which meant he had to take everything out of the closet. And the poor scammer, she said, was on the phone for probably 4 hours while her husband went to look for something that was not there. So you talk about have some fun with him. That was having fun. I was in stitches. So you had somebody had raised their hand, Don.
Two questions.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on these credit monitoring services, like Lifeline and some of the others out there?
Okay.
And another, tip-off is, I get a phone call. The phone rings, I answer it. There's a head silence.
Yeah. Yeah. So Don is saying two things. What about programs like LifeLock where you pay a service? And then the second one is if you, sometimes, like I said, the area that we're in, the phone rings, you pick it up. It takes effort to not pick it up. And then it's just radio silence. That's a good thing, in my opinion. What do you say, or should say, if it's radio silence? Just say nothing. And then they'll hang up. Just say nothing. And as far as light locks and things like that, we're not going to talk about that in this presentation. I don't have any personal experience with it.
We do. And LifeLock is very good to have.
Okay, so
It's more does more than one.
okay, so it helps.
Yes.
It helps.
Yes.
It helps. Okay. All right.
Thomas, before you go on, just speaking of IRS,
Yeah.
I don't know if the rest of the members here have been getting these surveys in the mail
Oh yeah.
from IRS. Saying that they're conducting a survey.
Yeah.
And that if you don't respond,
Yeah.
you're subject to legal action.
Yeah. Now imagine that. It's a survey. So she's saying that sometimes you get these prompts in the mail. And they look very official, by the way. And it says it's a survey, and if you don't respond, you know, you're right. They're going to come after you, right? Remember, in this example, we're talking about the IRS. And by the way, it says IRS. You know what else it could be? Who's your energy provider? Yeah. Same thing. Oh, go ahead.
It's been like in the last 6 weeks or so, someone very close to us, her dad went looking for a phone number for a local utility and went on the internet, and instead of giving the legitimate one, got a scam one and called, and they were like, yes, you owe us money and we need gift cards. We prefer like gift cards.
We're going to talk.
So he called his daughter and he says, I need your help. And she's like, that doesn't sound right. And then thankfully he had just been scammed like 6 months before in a different way. So they were already kind of on high alert, but they caught this one in time. But that was him going to the internet and looking for a phone number. And he found the phone number, it just wasn't legitimate. It was a fake phone number set up with a spoof email website for that utility.
Yep. And so my point is, though, these things don't just show up as IRS. Yeah. If you have a credit card, if you have an account anywhere, it could show up. Right? Think about it. This is just a proxy. And again, it sounds, it feels, it looks official.
You said something, somebody said something about check caller ID. The caller ID, it'll say IRS.
We're coming back to that. You've got an example of that, yeah. So, Leanne, you've been waiting patiently.
Radio silence, the call, I think it is automated.
It is.
The system and calls the number, the call, which number they take and which don't. And the scammers to go through the log and only target the one that they take.
Well, typically, the way those things work, they're automatic generated calls, and they're waiting for you to say something. If you say something, then it flicks over to somebody. And so that's why I say either hang up or don't say anything.
The response might even be recorded also.
Exactly. And Charles is saying sometimes the response, I got to move on. This has been a great discussion.
When you answer the call, disconnect.
When you answer it?
Yeah, it disconnects.
Oh, well, okay. In my case, they always flip it to a real person. Go ahead.
Can I ask another question?
Of course.
When you go to a website, HTTPS,
Yeah.
that's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But are the scammers able to go into their so-called website that looks
Yeah.
and put HTTPS?
Yeah.
Can they do that?
Yeah. So typically,
Wow.
And we're going to look at this in a second, but typically, just since we're here, when you get those, you got to look real careful at the entire string. Because the first part looks very official, AT&T, IRS, you name it. But if you keep looking, there's going to be something really wonky on that address that is not IRS, that is not AT&T, that is not your biller. And you know what? While we're here, one of the things that she did in this illustration, she told the guy, "Give me a number and I'll call you back." And then she called a friend, said, "What do you think? I got this guy, you know, if it's the IRS, okay, they're going to send you a letter in the mail. They will never call you. No one's going to, I know in the movies they got the guy knocking down the door and the guns blazing. No, that's rare. So that's Hollywood. So let's move on. That's collection fraud. Excellent discussion. The grandparent scam. Anybody? All right. So grandparent scam. They use personal information that they can gather to help validate their story and form an emotional bond with the victim. The more personal the information, the more effective they can be. That's what makes this next scenario, known as the grandparent scam, so difficult for the targeted person to decipher. Okay, so I'm going to read both parts. Phone rings, caller. "Hi, Grandpa. It's your favorite grandson. Can you guess which one?" Now, you hear me loud and clear. But have you ever been on a cell phone connection where it was noisy, rattly, staticky, right? So imagine that. And so Grandpa says, "Is this Buddy?" The caller says, "Yes, Grandpa, it's Buddy. Do you remember where I go to school?" Grandpa, "Of course, you go to such and such state. How's school?" Caller, "Well, school is good. I'm really sorry to call you about this, but I'm in a little bit of trouble. I was at school and some friends and I decided to drive to Mexico for spring break. We were out last night and got into a car accident. When the police searched the car, they claimed they found drugs. Now I can't get back into the country unless I pay a fine. We're out of cash and my ATM card won't work down here. Can you please talk to the public defender to work this out, and I can pay you back when I return. Please don't tell Mom and Dad. I'm scared, Grandpa, and I just want to get home. I'm handing the public defender the phone now." A new voice comes on. "Hello, sir. Your grandson could be in serious trouble, and I can get him and his friends out of jail if they pay a simple fine. Here is the account information where you can wire the money." Okay. What are some red flags?
Wire the money.
Wire the money.
Yeah, how does he know that's, when he recognizes his voice?
Well, let's pause. Let's pause. Let's unwind what's going on here. A, how does the scammer know anything from social media?
People would be surprised how much information is on the internet.
Thank you. People are going to be shocked by how much information they put on it on social media. And I mean, they know what he looks like. They know where he went to school. They know where his favorite restaurant is. It's all out there. And guess what? We just put it there. Yeah. Yeah. And so when the scammer calls, he's not totally in the dark. He knows some things. What's another tell in this scenario? Something's going on. He didn't really know the grandson's name. He didn't really know where he went to school.
Don't tell Mom and Dad.
Oh, that's a good one. Don't tell anybody.
that case, he doesn't have to know the grandson's name or work, because you told us
You told
that information.
Exactly.
Because you think your grandkid's playing a game with
Exactly.
you. Hey,
Yeah.
your favorite grandchild. And they just,
There you go.
whatever they say is the right answer.
We, in this scenario, the name was given. And then the caller just played on that. And here's another one that I don't know if we appreciate that much is the emotional tug here.
Yeah.
And the IRS one too, there's an emotional tug. But this one, what's the emotional tug? I'm your favorite grandson. And I'm in trouble. Now tell me, I'm looking in this crowd. If someone you knew and loved called you in a bit of trouble, how many of us would not be thinking, I gotta help?
Yeah,
Sense of urgency. It's gotta happen now.
Red flag could have been, can you guess which one? That would have been a red
And
flag
Thomas,
to
they
me.
don't give you time to think.
They don't give you time to think. That's their MO. And I saw
What is the fact that that grandson wasn't in your contact list amongst you?
yes.
Oh, my kid's
Oh,
in your contact.
watch this. He's saying
He's gonna call your
Bill,
contact.
right,
Put a picture.
right. Billy's saying, why isn't the number in my contact list? He's calling from a phone. Remember, he got in a car accident. His phone wasn't working, and so he's calling from Mexico or whatever. Could be. Yeah. Right. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. One of the ways they get us to respond unnaturally is to get our emotional level up a little bit. And as somebody just said, once our emotional level's up, they don't let us process and think. It's just rapid fire. Do this, do this, do
You
this.
say, okay, tell me your father and mother's name.
I know. And again, she said we can, they can ask questions, we can ask questions. But again, when that information first hits our ears, most of us, I will say, will find our emotional level raised. And once our emotional level is raised, our ability to think rationally has just went out the door. It's
What do you think about the practice they're suggesting now about creating safe words between members of the family?
We have one now.
very helpful. Very helpful. He said create safe words. So when someone calls, that safe word is used to indicate this is the right guy. I'm not being
We have
scammed.
a word in our family. If we get a phone call and
Okay.
they don't know it, then they're staying in jail.
Perfecto. Perfecto. I love it.
Hey, Thomas,
Yes, sir.
I would say about 60 years ago, my stepdad was a deputy sheriff.
Deputy
That's
Sheriff.
65 years in
Uh-huh.
Victoria County. And he had talking about jailhouse. Hey, you got yourself in jail. You're going to figure out how to get it out. Get it out.
Yeah. So Charles was saying, we had tougher parents sometimes. If we got in trouble, they let us figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't know I could do that today. It'd be hard, man. Now, now, don't tell my kids I said this. If I had a kid I didn't like, it'd be a lot easier. But I kind of like my kids. Yeah.
When we were kids, well, today, it is much easier to scam people quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
They want to get in, get out.
Yeah.
When we were kids, if you had this problem, Dad had to climb in the car
And go down.
straight up to deal
Yes.
with face to face.
Yes.
Today, everything can be done at such a remote
Yeah.
level.
Absolutely.
That it can be done very quickly.
Very good. Very good. I think y'all heard that. Let's move on. I promised to be done in an hour, and we're having so much fun. I'm kind of behind a little bit. Okay, another scam. Common scam. Romance scam. Can I ask a question? Why would somebody be a victim of this? Thank you. Emotions. Yeah. And I'm not going to read this one. We're just going to talk about it because I think we understand this. How is it that the scammer builds the trust? Does it happen short? Long? How's that? Long period. Doesn't happen overnight. Third question. Before all of the digital stuff, I used to read books and watch movies where two people would fall madly in love, just corresponding by letters.
I have a friend.
Josie said she had a friend. And most of us know either happened to us or know someone that our relationship did not build because we were just in each other's eyes all the time.
And they've been married 50 years.
And they've been married 50 years. It can work. So my point is this. Someone mentioned loneliness. That is a big part of this scam. If you have been married for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and your spouse dies, I don't know that you and I can imagine what that feels like. Being in that house. And then all of a sudden somebody calls or starts up a friendship via Facebook, phone calls, but they're not there physically. It can happen to any of us. That's my point. And that's what this scam is all about. It doesn't just happen on the first time they call, the first contact. It builds over time. The trust is building over time. Okay? What do you think would be some red flags? They want money. What else?
You're there.
Potential spam.
I hear you.
Potential spam.
Oh, yeah. The phone sometimes helps. Please.
They say, well, I can't meet you right now.
Can't meet
And they keep putting off
Yeah.
their face-to-face meetings.
Yeah. It's always a promise to repay.
The same as the example before. It said, don't tell your parents, don't tell your kids.
Don't tell your kids. Don't tell your
Just
kids.
keep this between us.
Yeah. Josie.
I have a niece, and her sister told me that her sister is connecting with someone that's telling I love you and all this and this, started asking for money. And she says, I can't believe she's sending money when she doesn't have any of her own. This niece calls me, and Josie, this is happening. I need to, can I ask you for a favor? And I asked, what is it? She said, I need some money. And I go, I'm thinking how much, like 100. She says 10,000.
Oh yeah. So just to paraphrase what Josie's saying is that a personal example of a person being scammed. They don't know it. They don't believe it. You can tell them.
They believe that he's falling in love.
Yeah. They believe this other person whom they've never physically met is legit in love. And here's the thing. They're asking for money. Question. How much are they asking for? Just hundreds? Tens? Thousands?
They start with a small $50.
They start small and it just builds up. And it builds up. And it's always the promise, when I get there, we'll settle the score. So the red flags here, the red flags is that you never see this person. But a good one doesn't mind showing their face. Number two, they're always going to be interested in money. They want your money. And here's the saddest part. How much of your money do you think they want? Always.
Yeah, how much do you have?
Always. Exactly. How much do you have? What do you own? They'll take everything from the ruthlessness of these people is beyond my imagination. Okay? So that I've kind of skipped through the romance scheme. I'm going to the lottery sweepstakes. This one. Slide number 10. Slide number 10. Lottery sweepstakes. Now this one is very similar to the IRS. Okay? You receive a call from Publishers Clearinghouse. Question. Anybody here recall Publishers Clearinghouse? Everybody, right? Question. How many of the young people today do you believe would even know what that is? Zero. Goose egg. But anyway, so we know who they're targeting. So they call you claiming you've won their sweepstakes in a Mercedes. All you must do is pay the taxes and fees on the winnings and tell no one until after you receive your prizes. Good news? Not necessarily. You're instructed to start the process of receiving your prizes by purchasing gift cards. You heard that one? And then reading the numbers off to them. You're told the next step is to mail cash via one-day courier to individuals who allegedly work for the Publishers Clearinghouse in order to cover the taxes and other fees. You're skeptical and contact me, who advises you to contact Publishers Clearinghouse directly. They confirm that they did not make the call and that winners never have to pay anything up front. They also advise you to check the list of winners on the website to confirm that your name is not on the list. You've likely encountered this scam in one form or another. It is often referred to as a lottery or sweepstakes scam. The common red flags include an unsolicited contact, such as a letter, a phone call, an email, or social media message. The contact may seem official, perhaps a letter that appears to be on government or corporate letterhead. And, quote, winnings could be anywhere from a few $100s to tens of millions of dollars. So now, let's talk about some red flags here. What are some red flags? They're asking for money, but there's even one before that. Nobody does that anymore. But there's another one before that.
If you haven't entered anything, you haven't won.
Thank you. If you didn't enter, how did you win? It's David said it happens on Amazon all the time. These boxes just keep showing up. Wow, look at that. What is another red flag here? They're asking you to pay with cash and to get gift cards. Remember we talked about gift cards? And now let's talk about caller IDs and AI, right? I'm not a big AI dude. I know they're saying AI is going to rule the world, but I would tell you that there are some things that AI will probably never be able to do. What it can do is mimic a real, legitimate source in caller ID. So it looks like somebody you know. And again, if it's a staticky call and it's an urgent call, your emotions get to running, it's easy to be taken advantage of. In this case, if it says Publishers Clearinghouse, again, young person may maybe not catch that, but we should catch that right away. When's the last time you even heard?
Has anybody ever won?
Thank you, Charles. You ever met anybody that won?
But they put people on the magazine.
No. Yeah, they're always on TV, but it's never anybody I know. It's sort of like, what's it? I can't remember now. Anyway. Yes.
My friend, a lot of you know my friend Fran, older friend.
Uh-huh.
This happened to her, and he was going to come to her house and get her money,
Yeah.
give her a prize. I had a police car at her house.
Oh, that's a
At
friend.
that point in time.
Did y'all hear that? She was saying that her friend got caught up in one of these, and the scammer was sending somebody to the house to get the money. And Laura interceded and had the cops there, so nothing happened. I had a lady in one of these courses in the spring, got caught up into the scam, and she actually shipped the money overnight to an address across the country. And when she discovered there was a scam, she was able to intercede and get her money back. You know how lucky she was? That never happens. It's a done deal. She was talking to a friend right afterwards or during, and that friend was saying, "Oh, something's wrong here." And she said, "Okay, I think you're right." And she called the FedEx or whatever was going through and stopped that delivery. But that usually doesn't happen that well. Okay.
Will these people ever go to jail?
If they're caught. Now, what typically happens is Remember, these guys are doing this all the time. They know how to avoid Johnny Law. They're not that dumb. Yeah. Okay, and this is the last one. Social security scams. Now this one is very similar to some of the ones we've already seen. Who is making the call is supposed to be Social Security. So I'm going to ask again. If it's really Social Security, what is it that they don't know about you? Nothing. they know everything. They know where you live. As a matter of fact, they know where you used to live 7 years ago. They know what you earned. They know what color your car is. They know your license. What don't they know? So when the call comes, let me read it. All right. Our final scenario revolves around a benefit most, if not all, older adults receive, Social Security. It's not a surprise that scammers would target this common source of income for seniors. The scheme involves a scammer impersonating someone from the Social Security Administration to misuse your Social Security number or trick you into paying money. Criminals will use calls, emails, letters, all to obtain your personal information. You receive a call from someone claiming to be with the Social Security Administration. The caller advises there is a problem with your Social Security number. The caller may ask you for your number for verification purposes or require you to make a payment to avoid suspension of benefits. And again, if you're really dependent on this thing and that call comes, most of us, our first reaction is to be, I got to do something. It's not as rational as we are right now. The person on the other end of the phone tells you that your Social Security number was tied to money laundering and that your benefits are in jeopardy. The caller goes on to say that you will need to pay a fee so that everything can be straightened out. Not wanting to lose this critical source of income, you become flustered but realize something isn't right. You never heard of someone getting a call directly from Social Security, and it doesn't feel right to have to pay a fee for a crime you didn't commit. You take a breath and decide to ask the caller for his number so you can check on his claim. The call is immediately disconnected. This type of scam is becoming more and more prevalent, according to the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, Consumer Information website. This type of scam is growing exponentially. In 2017, the FTC heard from 3,200 people about Social Security scams, and those people reported losing nearly $200,000. In 2019, 2 years later, more than 35,000 people reported such scams. So it went from a couple of thousand to 35,000 in 2 years, and losses were tens of millions, hundreds of thousands to tens of millions. Scammers will try and exploit your fears. Scammers will try and exploit your fears. In addition to trying to get you to provide your Social Security number, you might be asked to purchase gift cards and take pictures of their fronts and or backs to send electronically via text or email. Alternatively, you may be asked to send a money order or cash to someone. So let's just pause and ask ourselves again, what are some red flags? Some of these are common themes here. Say again. They're asking for money right away, urgency. And gift cards.
Try to get your Social Security number.
They want your social. So the Social Security Administration is calling you, and now they're asking you. Again, it's easy to see here.
Just this past week, I went to a new dentist, and in filling out the information, the dentist asked for my Social Security number.
Yeah.
If somebody's asking for your Social Security number, whether it's a personal services or whatever, you have the right and responsibility to go say, why do you need this? No, you don't get it.
Don't get it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've gotten an email where it says, you're being issued a new Social Security card, a new Medicare card.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Yeah. Again, there's a way to back those up. So I was doing my taxes this year, doing my taxes. I got stuck. And so I was trying to get some help, and I did something like y'all did. I Googled it. I got stuck. Yeah, I got stuck. And so what I've learned is in my older age, especially now that my wife is working, and she has a tax accountant. I just give them my stuff now. That's what I've learned. But at that point, I thought I would be smart and save about 5 cents. Is what I was thinking. I was going to save 5 cents. And so I couldn't find this number. And so I did what your friend did. I Googled it. And I got this guy on the phone. He was very helpful. Very helpful. And then we got stuck. He goes, I think I need to image your computer.
No.
I love that. I love that response. Because I don't usually get mad. And so I told the guy, I said, look, because I've been doing this course now. I said, look, I don't know you from a fly on the wall. There is no way in the world you're going to be looking at anything on my computer. Do you work for TurboTax? Yeah, I really do. I said, well, then you should be able to tell me what the problem is. But again, I've been listening to stories. I've been reading stories, been teaching this course, so I'm more sensitive. It had been 5 years ago. I don't know what I'd have done. I might have been a victim.
On the Social Security thing,
Yeah.
with my mom, she received a letter and said that she needed to send this in, she could
Yeah.
pay over the phone or whatever, or call us at this number. Well, they answered it Social Security, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
So just because you get a letter saying, call us to fix this,
Yeah.
you're not necessarily calling the right people. You need
Yeah.
to look up the numbers of the people that you need to call.
Now, in the Houston, Harris County, and Montgomery County, we have a Social Security office up in Conroe. And in this example, I would urge us all to utilize that resource if it's a Social Security type scheme.
There's one in Jersey Village.
And thank you, I forgot about that one. Jersey Village, there's one. But to utilize those resources to help protect ourselves.
Have you ever heard of OPS?
I've heard of it. Tell me about it.
OPS team email?
OPS team email. No.
All right, I'm selling my house, right? And I received a letter from Homeowners Association. It's $584 a month.
Oh.
I've always paid
Right.
homeowners. This one is telling me, in going through my order confirmation of the sale of your house and all of that, we urge that you pay $350 for homeowners so that the closing of the home can be taken care of.
Yeah. Now, so she's talking about trying to sell her house.
Right now,
And
I got it yesterday.
you have homeowners association fees, now they're demanding pay. So question, if you have a homeowners association, are they out there in the ethernet somewhere or is there a physical location?
There's a physical location.
You can always follow up.
Look what she says. We included the payment link below to assist with the process. Please reply all to confirm that you were able to place the payment today.
So it's urgency. So this thing that she's got is urgency. They want to be paid today. But I will tell you again, everybody, always pause when there's that sense of urgency. That is one of the first tells that something is up every time. And it's taking care of closing.
And this is for next year.
And this thing's happening next year. So let's finish this up though. I want to just point out just one more thing about these types of scams. I'm sorry. Oh.
Parallel to the same deal, they give you a number. I've seen and heard of, you owe something on Amazon, you fail to deliver, you need to pay us. Don't call that number, go to the official Amazon.
There you go.
I got the emails like that.
Yeah, there you go. And that's a good parallel. Whether it's a homeowners, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Home Depot, whatever it is, Virginia.
No, sometimes you see these ads about, oh, you could have hundreds of thousands of dollars that you're leaving on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one. Another one.
Yeah.
But the one thing that we've seen in all of these scenarios is the urgency. The second thing that we've seen is the emotional pull. The third thing that we've seen is distraction. If you are distracted and this guy is talking in your ear, you are vulnerable. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but you are vulnerable. Okay? What are the suggestions to do? In every case, just hang up
And block the call.
and block the call. Hey,
And they may want to use a hospital number to call you.
hang
I
up.
think that too.
Just hang up. If it's really upsetting, call someone that you know and trust. Don?
There's also a list of phone numbers, that you can get a phone call and caller ID from one of these phone numbers. It's really from a foreign scammer. If you answer the phone, you have a huge cell phone bill.
There's always those risks. And again, for us in this generation, and I'm putting myself in y'all's generation, it is hard to not answer the phone. I have to think about not answering the phone.
And you know, you can have all these blocked people that aren't in your contact, but when you have doctor's offices and places
Yeah.
calling you, you have to take it off because you don't know what
You don't
number they're
know.
calling from.
You don't know. It's hard. And so all I'm trying to say is whenever it feels funny, suspicious, if they're legit and you hang up on them, it's okay. Britt?
But if it's important, we'll leave a message.
Oh, thank you. I forgot about that one. If it's really important, they always leave a message. If it's a scammer, it goes radio silent.
Scammer Waller works with voicemail though, and if it's a scam, it'll be like a 2-second
Delays. There's always the delays when there's
Yeah.
scammers on there.
Yeah.
Here are some red flags. Identity verification. They want you to tell them something about you that they should already know. There's the immediacy. It's urgent. It's got to happen now, Dad. I got to get out of jail. Something doesn't work. It just doesn't add up. Something's fishy about it. And there's always the vow of secrecy. Don't tell anybody. They're always going to talk you out of it. You must stay on track. Being dramatic. Okay?
Excuse me,
Yes.
I don't know if this is important or not, but I'm sitting here wondering about it. I'm getting emails
Yep.
saying that I qualified for so much money, let them know where to send it.
Let me pause. Let me pause you. She's getting these emails where they're saying you owe money.
No,
Oh, she's won money. She's qualified and won money. Okay. This kind of goes back to the one our parents taught us. If it's too good to be true.
Not true.
I don't know anybody who has just walked up to me and said, "You're just so good looking." And smart. Here's some money, man. I can't handle it anymore. It never happens. It never. No one's doing it. And so here's the deal, though, guys. Remember this. They're 2 steps ahead of us. If we engage a conversation with them, whether it's on email, on text, or voice, we're now more vulnerable. The best thing to do is just shut it off right there. Shut it down.
And I have been deleting them.
Excellent. Excellent. And we talked about when you look at the email address as well as the web address, sometimes they will try to impersonate legitimate sources. But look at the entire address, and you'll always find something wonky in the address. It will have their name in it, right? They'll misspell things, weird characters.
People that don't have English as their first language, sometimes they change the order of words. And when you start reading it and it sounds like somebody in China wrote it, or somebody in Mexico wrote it,
Yeah.
then it's not from that company.
Yeah.
You know,
She's mentioning that sometimes when you see these headlines and emails, they're spelled funny because the person that wrote them doesn't speak English.
or they learned English as a second language.
Right.
So they reverse words, or they use words in a different way because our convention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get. I'm gonna get your comment. Then I got to keep moving. I'm almost done. I got 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
I got a text yesterday, this has happened before. Hey, how are you doing? I'm gonna be in town next month. Are you gonna be home or can we meet for dinner? And I have a lot of contacts. It wasn't anyone I knew. I just totally ignored. So somehow they got my number somewhere. I guess they're just texting out people. Have you heard of that happening?
I've heard of it.
Okay.
Yes, I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Remember, there's no off limits. These are just some broad scenarios.
Right.
So let me. I got 5 minutes. Here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna see how much you've learned. We're gonna play friend or fraud. Friend or fraud. I got 3 scenarios. I'm gonna read them, and then we're going to ask: is this friend or fraud? Scenario 1. Your neighbor Joe tells you a man knocked on his door yesterday collecting money for a food pantry. Although he couldn't remember the name of the pantry, he remembered the man said he was part of the Good Neighbor Food group. When Joe asked the man if he had a business card or any literature about the organization, the man said he would stop back by with more information. Joe asked you, what do you think? Friend or fraud? You guys. What are some red flags?
He couldn't remember the name of the
Thank you. Boom, boom. Okay. What could you do if you were curious? Is he legit or not? What would you do?
I'm sorry, but
Ask him to come back. When he comes back, to give him the money. Another thing you could do if it's legit, like if it's a Houston food bank, they're all over the internet. I mean, if he's legit, hey, just Joe, there's a guy in my neighborhood. You guys got a guy over here? But there are ways. Okay. Scenario 2. You receive a phone call from a credit card provider's client fraud investigation unit. The caller asks you to verify your account information, including your credit card number. Man, you guys are just too sharp.
What about the number on the back of the card to make sure?
Charles, there you go. There's a number on the back of everybody's credit card or debit card.
security.
Call that number.
I got that, and the number on my phone was the credit card, was the credit fraud on the back of my debit card.
Mm-hmm.
They kept asking questions, I said, no, I'm gonna call you back.
Excellent.
No, you need to do it now. No, I'll
Urgency.
call you back.
Urgency.
I hung up, called back and said, but they have a way of mimicking that phone number now.
Isn't that something? AI. There's your AI. All right. Third scenario. You receive a letter from a law firm that includes a gas bill dated 6 months ago and marked past due. The letter states that you are delinquent in paying and that your natural gas will be shut off in 3 days unless you make an immediate payment via credit card or wire to the law office. This is the first and only notice you have received, and to your knowledge, your gas bill is up to date. Friend or fraud?
Why didn't you get a notice from that gas company?
Me.
Why is it that your gas is still on? It's been delinquent there.
For that long. This happened to me actually about 10 years ago. No, 15 years ago. We're living in Atascocita, and I got home that night, and Dewan was just frantic because this guy was hammering her about turning off the gas bill. Now, you got to understand something. 15 years ago, when I was younger, I was anal about everything, especially about paying bills. And so when this guy is trying to tell me I didn't pay the bill, I'm ready to go through the phone and choke it. Because I know I paid that bill. There's no way this side of heaven I did not pay that bill. And so when I finally just told the guy, just shut it off. I'm tired. I want to eat. Now, thank God I was tired and hungry because I didn't have the energy to entertain him. I don't know what I would have done had I had the energy to entertain him. I just got tired and frustrated and said, do what you're going to do. I'm good. And a lot of these things is being comfortable enough to break everything that we've been taught about manners and hospitality and just pushing it off and just saying, not right now. Not right now. Not going to do it. Nope, not going to do it. And then taking that extra step to breathe, calm yourself down, talk to somebody.
Playing on your fear factor is playing on your greed factor.
That's it. That's it.
That's it. Somewhere
That's it.
between fear and greed.
Fear and greed. So here are some resources. It's on your slides. I think it's in your slide deck. Thank you. Some resources. I'm not going to read them. We did this friend or fraud. There's a recap here. We've been asking questions and sharing stories, so I'm not going to do this now. But what I will do is say thank you for coming, especially if you guys are Aggie fans, because I hear the Aggies are playing. The Longhorns have got it by, but I want to thank you again for coming.
I'd like to say one thing. I haven't said anything through all this.
Yes, Ken.
Okay. Up close and personal. You know, I'm a real smart guy, and I'm a portrait artist, and I paint pictures and paintings and whatever. A so-called lady got in touch with me and wanted one of my paintings, and I was just so excited about it and how we gonna pay for it and all this kind of stuff and it's been molding and et cetera. And I got involved because, and then somebody else took over, but I was all excited. So I selling a painting for $1,200, man. All right, okay, so, but I'm not a business, okay? So they wanted to charge me an extra $300 to become a business.
Oh.
You know?
Oh.
I should have went right there, but I didn't. So, a long story short, I lost $1,500.
Oh.
I quit, and and it can happen to anybody. And, you know,
Thank you.
I've got 3,500 friends on Facebook and all this, so I get all kinds of stuff. Okay?
Yeah.
And I shut them down, bam, bam, bam. That wants to be my friend, and they don't really have a good account or whatever. But you gotta, and don't get excited.
Yeah.
I always said I would never get scammed.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
I'm just too bright to get scammed.
Yeah.
And I spoke to my son for 5 minutes on the phone. 5 minutes I talked to my son. It was not my son. But they did a thing on the news about this, and they talked to somebody with AI. If you say 6 words, they can mimic your voice.
The rest of the
So
conversation.
even if that
Can I pull something out of what they're saying here that we're just going to make this a broken record? It can happen to anybody. I know we put up the guardrails and we say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm protected. Guess what? It's still a vulnerability that we haven't seen.
I'll never open my door. You know, everybody says,
Yeah.
I'll never open my door. I walked out and handed them the money. I handed them the
Yeah.
money.
I mean, it happens. And again, once we engage in a conversation, whether it's digital, text, email, on the phone, once we're engaged, they've got us. They are that clever. If it happens, okay, if it happens, it's okay. Life goes on. Live to fight another day. Okay? Let God. Yeah. Don't allow it to beat you up for the rest of your life. It takes time to get over being scammed, but just know it's going to be okay. I don't want you guys to feel any pressure from me. I will not solicit you. I'm not calling anybody. if you want to talk to me, that's my information there. Call me, and we'll talk about your situation. Um, Thank you again for coming. I've really enjoyed. I hope you got something out of this. Hope you've made this worth your while. What is it? 10 to 12. So 10 to 12. Oh, by the way, we've got the room until noon. Don't feel rushed to leave. If you want to stand around and talk, if you want to ask me questions, I'll be here. Yes, I kept the room open so that we wouldn't be rushed out. No, I'm talking.